You've done well since then.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, I remember the convention in Cleveland or Columbus. One of the cities you guys doing,
yeah.
And Jeff Taylor, the guy, had created a great brand and was looking at funeral service. So as I look at here today, what we're doing, Jeff was one of the first people that said some things have to change as it relates to the obit.
Yeah.
And we're going to take in some outside money, and we're going to go in there and try and create something online for consumers to find obits. Now, look, given Jeff's history, he had wiped out jobs. He's like, maybe I can do it with obits. Well, we had a good attempt, a good run, and a lot of fun doing it. But I'll never forget this because I was with Jeff, and Jeff is probably one of the most eccentric, fascinating people I've ever been around with, and I cherish every meeting and time I could spend with him. But he said to me, he's like, who's this Ryan dude? Because you had created your own brand with the clothing and the style that you had come up with, and he's like, is that going to work for funeral service? I go, I think it's going to work just fine.
Here we are.
And here we are all these years later.
It didn't work at first,
Yeah.
but persistence and authenticity will always win.
Yeah.
And that's what I've loved about you. You're authentic, you were kind, but you're also a funeral director being on kind of like the supplier side.
Yeah, I did not think I would be in the funeral business. My grandfather in Vermont owned a funeral home, so it was there, but we grew up in Boston, and so it skipped my father, who wanted nothing to do with funeral service, and he should have been on the last panel because he was a CPA and had a lot of tax clients as funeral homes. But it came to my identical twin brother that the only thing he's ever wanted to do was be a funeral director. So after I got out of Bryant, where I said I went and it was business, I probably had an early midlife crisis, but about 8 years in, I started hanging around him at a business he was working at, and I'm like, this is a fascinating business. I like it. Fast forward, I go get my degree in mortuary service, and then I said to Jim, we should probably build a funeral home. And I'll never forget, we were on the cover of American Funeral Director, not because of, that we were doing it, but we were building a funeral home in 2008 at the height of the worst time you could be building a funeral home. So, I'm in funeral service. I still work funerals and do everything that I can when time permits, but it's a space that I absolutely love. I would have never imagined me being in it. Not only in it, but this long. But the friendships that this profession creates is second to none. And as much as we're all competitors to a certain extent in one form or another, those of us who know how, we really get along and we create lifetime friendships. So
it is. It's a special thing about this profession.
Yeah.
And we both see other professions and have gone to different things, and it's something that's unique and to death care.
Can I want to address one thing that was brought up in the technology panel, and I want to be abundantly clear. Like, there was this scraping concept issue, whatever we want to call it, that was brought up, and I got to talk about it because I want to make sure that everyone, who's watching and is here understands the whole process behind this. So, look, Legacy started in 1998. It's a very old company. And they were historically just partnered with newspapers. But as I said at the beginning, the mission was to announce every single death that happens in the U.S. So the way in which we do that were through newspapers and now funeral homes. But at a minimum, we put up a death record for every person that passed in the U.S. just to help provide an opportunity for people who are looking for someone who died, a place in which to get that information. We readily admit that started to cause a lot of confusion as people who are looking for obits out there. It was just where am I? Who's obit? Where do I get this? So we made it a business decision about 2 weeks ago to stop that practice. It no longer exists. So there are no more one-sentence announcements around people's deaths. Now, more importantly, for the funeral homes that want to participate and want to have their obits put up onto Legacy, what's in it for them? You get the e-commerce. Let me say that again. You get the e-commerce. Someone wants to buy flowers, hit the button, they're going to buy them at your funeral home. That's never happened before. The guest books, you want to have someone who's going to leave a guest book entry, click it, they're going to go leave it at the condolence at the funeral home website. Traffic, we will show you enough traffic on a monthly basis that says, one, we've increased it so that if they are at Legacy, we're going to get them over to the funeral home website. That would make you, I hope, make you think that says, what Legacy does is good for my funeral home website and is getting more and more people back to where I want them, which is my funeral home website. So it's been a big shift in the business practice at Legacy, but it's one that I'm extremely proud that we've made this decision because it's, I think Curtis said it, we are doing it because it's right for the funeral home. And that aside, 10,000 funeral homes have said what you're doing is going down a good path, so keep it up.
Well, two things. You were here in this building in
right down there in the other room.
January in the conference room, and we started a 2-day strategy session, and I said, John, here's the deal. Like, what I know about Legacy, other than you, isn't a lot of great things. I believe in Legacy because of you, but you're going to have to convince me that Legacy is valuable to a funeral home. And I was very candid about that, and I meant it. And you said, good, let's get to work. And I think within about 4 hours, I was like, wow, okay, now I get it. And I had a funeral home call me last week. That's a client of ours. They watched the webinar that you and I did a few months ago, and I've had a number of conversations about Legacy with funeral directors. I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of just asking. And this funeral home called and they said, hey, you told us we should look at Legacy and the potential partnership with them. And I just got on my page on Legacy, and they haven't had one of my obits published in a couple years. Why? I'm losing all this traffic now. I wondered why my website traffic dipped. So tell me about that.
Yeah, look, I think those who tell a funeral home to have your obits live solely on your website only is a bad business practice. Meaning, if you think that everyone who is searching for an obit or funeral-related information is going to get there because of your SEO, great. I hope that they do. I really do. And you better put the heat on your website provider to make sure that it is. The reality is that it's not going to happen. So if there's a site out there that can put that power together that gets them there, but then gets them back to where they need to be going. I feel like Tom Lynch in that.
Yeah, that's right.
The whole funeral, great quote. But if we can help get the user to get started, then get them over to the website, there's no other site out there with our traffic and size that's going to be able to do it. So I think that there's just, look, there's an old Legacy. Mm-hmm. There really is, 1998. There's a lot of old. And there's a new Legacy. And I can tell you, as long as I have the ability to have a conversation, like what I did with you and your team, Ryan, to tell you about who we are and what we're doing and how we're different, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
But me winning means the funeral home sees value in what we're doing, and then we just have to deliver upon the results that show them, yeah, I like the path that you're going down. What's next? Like, we need to be continuing to deliver things to them that's going to help them with their business.